Hello everyone. Welcome to my first alternate history. In this scenario, Vietnam takes over all of China during the plague. Also, this is my submission to Staking's Vietnam contest. So now, on with the video I guess. We start here with China. In our timeline, China handled the plague badly and resulted in Vietnam breaking away. But in this timeline, we want China to fully disappear. So, how I see this happening is still Vietnam breaks away the same. But then a rebellion will also begin up in the north. This rebellion will quickly start sweeping northern areas. Because of this, Vietnam will also declare war on China. China surprisingly falls very quick. And Vietnam and North China split the original Chinese country. Also, if it wasn't obvious, this scenario isn't meant to be taken seriously. Very similar to something like what if everything went perfect for Vietnam? You know what, I probably should have named it that. Vietnam would mostly expand the same, while the threat is smaller. North China is still a threat, as that area is much more economically developed. We will also see Vietnam expand into some islands, as well as an alliance with Korea. Wait, why? Oh, they both declared war on North China. Although at first we see some pushback by North China. It eventually fails, and the country collapses. In the peace treaty we see it split in half, as well as a less harsh Korean invasion of the Pink Team. Our timeline, this is around the time Vietnam collapses, which in this scenario they don't. We also will have a bit of a race for Indonesia between Pasindia and Vietnam, as they are evenly matched. Also, as Vietnam continues to expand frequently, a Mongolian tri-star alliance will form. Something that is worth noting is this is also where Korea starts building its trade route into Vietnam. Either way, this is breaking many principles. The alliance between Korea and Vietnam breaks up. Korea declares war on Vietnam. Very suddenly, Korea takes much land of Vietnam. The government of Vietnam slowly starts striking back at Korea, and the war seemed somewhat evenly matched. But just as Vietnam starts fully pushing into Korea, the Mongolian tri-star alliance joins against Vietnam. As Vietnam can't hold out all of these fronts, they send a request for Japan and Manchuria to join the war. In return, they would get land and entry into a possible Vietnamese economic alliance. Slowly Korea's crumbles. The Mongolian alliance is pushed back, and Korea will collapse. In the peace treaty, Korea is fully divided between the three nations, with Vietnam making most of its gains a puppet state. The Mongolian alliance just loses some land. But the main thing is it is forced to be broken up. Lastly, we see a much earlier circle economic alliance between Vietnam, Manchuria, and a now united Japan. We will also see the race for Indonesia continue, although it's clear Vietnam is winning. Next, a full-scale invasion of Bangladesh will happen, resulting in full annexation. Vietnam will also go back to the old yellow Mongolian country, and it will capitulate almost instantly, also full annexation. In fear, the only two remaining previous tri-star alliance members will unite. Something worth mentioning is Korean Alaska. How I see it is in this timeline, after the Vietnamese-Korean War, it will be abandoned and become an independent state. After these many wars, and the great expansion of its economical alliance, Vietnam will start slowing down on expansion. Although some countries, like Pasindia, are not happy with this at all. After a good amount of time in existence, Alaska will be invaded by Pasindia, angering their populace even more. With tensions being this high in the world, WW1 will start. I will only be showing important fronts, like the Pasindian ones. I'm not drawing all that. So, to kick off WW1, we seen a much earlier blue team invasion of Pasindia's Arabian territories. We also see a small Pasindia invasion into Vietnam, through Bangladesh. Next we will also see a swift, Dutch invasion of Alaska. Although Pasindia will take out Sri Lanka, Vietnam will launch a full-scale invasion into Indonesia. With harsh fighting it is eventually taken. Seeing Pasindia face constant failures, the Indian oligarchs rise up, and with many other nations all jumping Pasindia, they collapse. With WW1 ending with an even stronger Circle alliance and due to pressure, Pasindia will cease to exist. Now we make it to World War II. Not much fighting really happens, although the independent Australian country, with the Circle Alliance's help, will take over the rest of Oceania. With the Circle Alliance's help the Triangles lose World War II. Also due to pressure, Vietnam lets go 2 archipelago countries. I'm not gonna be really highlighting the Cold War, as it's pretty much Circle Alliances dominates most proxy conflicts. This includes in Mexico and especially in Somalia, where the light blue country still stands. Eventually World War IV will still start the same, with all 3 alliances going to war. We will start in the Americas where Texas is completely dismantled, much more by Mexico in this timeline. With a combined force of Amur and Vietnamese troops, Amur will launch a huge invasion into Russia. Along with every Circle Alliance member pulling their weight against the old empire, Russia, and Central Asia as a whole. Now that we see such a huge Circle win so far, it is important to note how this is happening. Number 1, Vietnam is the one world power, along with some of its allies being in the top 15 such as India, Australia, and Amur, maybe Tibet as well. Number 2, in our timeline, China still was the only country standing. The main reason they didn't fully win is because they got jumped by Vietnam and Korea. But as you can see, Korea is dead, and China is Vietnam in this timeline. Eventually pretty much every country jumps Russia, along with Central Asia, although they still hold out in Africa. The Mexicans will continue to take American claims in Texas, along with terrorist claims. Eventually they get Libya and Somalia to invade the old empire's African territories. A huge Central Asian push happens into the old empire, although they still stand. Seeing it as the only way, almost, if not every old empire major city is nuked, along with tens of nukes landing in the holy cities and the capital. The Cross and Square Alliance surrender. We now see a Circle Alliance victory in World War III. The peace treaty isn't as harsh on Russia or the old empire as in our timeline. I'm not gonna go over everything, as you can see it on this map, and assume some stuff. In the end the Circle Alliance controls almost all of Asia, all of Oceania, and have influence everywhere. With this we can see a possible success of that old failed United Nations. And we won't see an age of aggression. So to think, just because some old Chinese leader handled the plague slightly worse over 1,000 years ago, we reach world peace. I know this scenario is very unrealistic, but I definitely had fun making it and I hope you enjoyed somewhat watching it, and good luck to everyone else competing in Staking's Vietnam contest.